President Trump is flooding the zone, you might say, this week. Today in Ohio, he was talking about Obamacare, and you know we showed you Air Force One live just moments ago. He's now left Ohio. And he announced his choice to take over head of the FBI as well. And yesterday he met with Republican leaders to talk about health care. Also on the list of getting things done, sort of flooding that narrative, that zone, if you will, he announced a speech later this week at the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Chris Plante is the syndicated radio talk show host of The Chris Plante Show. Leslie Marshall is the syndicated radio talk show host of The Leslie Marshall Show and a Fox News contributor. Chris, Leslie, good to see you. This is a very busy hump day, in fact, and a lot of sizzle to go along with it. The president, as I said, flooding the zone, getting out his narrative, if you will, Chris, with some strong domestic issues and agenda and policy. Your thoughts?
Well, he's doing exactly what he should be doing and what he should have been doing all along, quite honestly, rather than allowing the Democrats to wag the dog on this and the news media. But I repeat myself, he's doing what a president would do. The idea that he's being criticized for going to Ohio to talk about Obamacare and the failings of Obamacare is ridiculous. Sure, it takes the Democrats and the news media off message. That he names his pick to be FBI director somehow destroys the media narrative and the Democrat Party narrative. It would be funny if it weren't so absurd.
You know, Leslie, because of the list, and I could go on and add the list, because he talked about infrastructure, that $1 trillion plan. Also, he was in Ohio. He's met with GOP leadership talking about health care yesterday. I mean, there are a lot of things going on, yet I still hear the drumbeat from Democrats that nothing is happening except for Russia and James Comey.
Well, I don't think that it's just Democrats saying that. The focus this week is on, I think you said, Harris, earlier, the big act, if you will, in Washington. All eyes are on this testimony tomorrow. But this, I will agree somewhat with what Chris had said, which is this is what the president is supposed to do and should have been doing all along. And as president, it shouldn't be anybody or any party that stops or distracts him from doing that. However, I think the timing of this is to be a bit of a distraction. And I also think it's a bit amusing that he was in Ohio regarding Obamacare and that he's pushing that to repeal, replace yet, because in Republican districts in Ohio and throughout the United States, as we're seeing also at town hall meetings, more and more Republicans, more and more Trump supporters actually are now liking Obamacare the longer it stays in place. So I'm not sure it was a good choice for him.
So, you know, their last insurance company pulled out of the Obamacare exchange in Ohio this week. Right? Anthem. There are businesses and families on the ground with whom the president met right there on the tarmac and then talked about health care today. So there are some, if you will, juicy examples of what is imploding about that health care plan from the last president, if you will, to get him to go to Ohio as an example and to put his personal touch on this issue. Chris?
Well, this is a real issue affecting millions and millions of Americans, including myself. And in Ohio, there are 20 counties that now have no options, zero options, because of the structure of Obamacare. In my household, personally, we went from $550 a month for two of us to more than $1,750 a month for premiums alone. Now, if that's a success story, then I'd hate to see what a disaster would be, because that's a disaster. And this is what the president should be talking about. And he needs to name an FBI director. And the idea that this is somehow taking the Democrat Party off of their message with this, what are we, coming up on a year now of Russia conspiracy theories based on anonymous sources, where there's still no smoking gun, as Democrat after Democrat has admitted, including senators that are showboating. And Leslie, you called it, what'd you call it, the big act? That's appropriate.
I called it the hottest ticket in town, because that's what many inside the Beltway are calling it as well. Real quickly before I let you go, and I don't normally focus on the president's tweeting unless it's becoming to be news. Democrats may be making a little ground, though, with this mantra, because now behind the scenes, some of the staff reportedly are saying, please don't, you're not helping things in terms of tweeting so much. It talks to the base directly, Leslie, and it also, donors like it as well. We lost Leslie's live shot. Chris, are you still there?
I am, and I have plenty to say. Well, sure. Look, the president should obviously, I think, be more judicious in his use of tweeting. I appreciate the fact that he can circumvent the New York Times and CNN and get his message directly to the American people. But when it comes to terrorist attacks in London and some other issues, it would be helpful, I think, if there were something of a filter on the president's Twitter account.
That's very interesting. Again, donors say that they like it. We talked about it this hour yesterday, so we shall see if the president will be unfettered going forward or if he will put in some gates in his comments. James Comey will be testifying tomorrow on the Hill. At the same time, the president will be at events as well. We'll move on. Chris, good to see you. And also thanks to Leslie.
Thanks,
we lost her by satellite. Sometimes technology just works out that way.